I had like a really tough time over last year. Me and my ex-girlfriend, we split up. I basically had to move back in with mum and dad and just kind of went into what I only can describe as like crippling anxiety. This is when my mum sent me one of your YouTube videos. I've got the treasure map now and I've drawn a line exactly where I need to go.
You sold your business and you basically had nothing, living with your parents, and you invested everything. And now you're thriving. How much are you making now in your property business?
Just over 15k a month. Monday morning I got the keys to one deal, and the Monday afternoon I got keys to another deal, and then on the Friday of that same week I got the keys to another deal. So my service accommodation business manages 6 service accommodation units.
Paying $1,200 to the landlord, and then how much turnover is that one property bringing you in?
That's turning over just a little bit more than £3,000 a month at the minute.
Adam, thanks for coming to my house.
Well, thank you very much for having me, mate.
So your background, sports therapy.
Yeah, so I'm a physiotherapist. I got a degree in that, going to university and stuff like that, and did that for about 5 years. I'm super dyslexic growing up as well, so actually getting to that point was really tough for me. English GCSE, it took me 5 attempts to actually get it, to even go to university. And when I got to university, my tutor went to me, Adam, just try and pass the degree, don't really aim too high, because we know your dyslexia and stuff in the exams, we might not be able to get you that grade that you want, and kind of told them to shove it and got a 2-1 anyway. So
wow.
It's kind of,
so don't aim high, just survive. Don't
just
try and
survive.
thrive.
Yeah.
And now you're thriving. How much are you making now in your property business?
Just over 15k a month at the minute, but it is growing very big. Like I say, in the last 8 weeks is when I've really just started making profit, and it's just flying. It's really
absolutely
flying.
Crazy. So I mean, I really want to, in this interview, I want to find out, you know, obviously a bit of backstory about you and how you started. You started with very little money.
Yeah. So, coming into property, like I knew that property is something I've always wanted to do. I've always seen myself, especially as a physio, is like I am the asset. People pay for my time, and I've always seen a ceiling to that, and I haven't seen like the growth that you can see like in business and in scaling and things like that. And then I've seen property as like, well, I'm taking myself away from that, and now I'm no longer the asset. The asset is the property.
Yes.
So you can scale that. You can have 1, you can have 2, you can have 6, you can have 12, 10, 20, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like, and each time, each one of them's making you money. So like you say, you're putting your money to work. So this is something that I've wanted to explore, but I've never really like known too much about. So hence why I wanted to learn more about it, really.
So where were you last year then? What was going on a year or so ago?
So I had like a really tough time over last year, to be honest, like mentally, with my mental health and things like that. So me and my ex-girlfriend, we split up in April. We was renting a house together. I was pretty sure that she was the one, kind of thing. We had a pet and everything together, and then we ended up splitting up in April. Loads of different stuff like transpired and things like that, and I basically had to move back in with mum and dad, lost the house, lost my pet, and just kind of went into a bit of a darker place with like what I only can describe as like crippling anxiety, like not being able to do anything, just tightness in my chest all the time and things like that. And I just didn't really know what I was doing. At this point, I'm trying to run a health and wellbeing business as well. Just like the business is all about mental health and understanding these kind of things. And I just felt like a bit of an imposter, really, because I couldn't even manage my own mental health at the time.
Yeah.
And that led me to just going down a bit of a path of like leaving that business as well. And like I sold my shares in that business, and I just felt like completely lost. Like I've taken a massive step back in my life. I've moved back in with mum and dad. I've lost what I thought was going to be my partner for the rest of my life. And then this is when my mum sent me one of your YouTube videos about property, and she knew that I'd always wanted to do more property. The fact that I'd flipped a house when my grandma passed away a few years ago as well. I'd renovated that house and done it to a really nice standard. So we ended up making about £20,000 to £25,000 profit on that in the time that we did it, and that just opened my eyes to the potential in this space, really.
So you knew that like property was the one.
Yeah.
But you needed a bit of a plan, and how do I do it?
Yeah.
How much money did you have at the time when you were living with your parents?
So when I sold my business, I sold my business for just over £10,000. So I had like a little bit of a cushion, really. But I'm a massive believer in investing yourself. As you said many times, that you pay for your mistakes, you pay for your education. So it's something that I really knew I wanted to invest in. I wanted to make sure that I was putting the money into myself, because at the end of the day, I number one best investment that you're going to make is in yourself at the end of the day.
I think so, yeah. And like you say about properties being a massive asset, because you can have lots and lots and lots of them, which is great. But still, if you've got 10 grand, 20 grand, it's not going to go that far in the property industry. You might buy one house if you're lucky, and it's going to be some really far north crappy house that might make you 100 quid a month. But if you invest a few grand in yourself, your network, your education, your mind, your contacts, your team, your investor list, suddenly everything can change. What was your first program that you came to?
So the first program was the deal selling program. So I came to the crash course in the end of June with my mum. My mum and my brother actually came to that together. And I remember just being blown away by just your energy, but the teaching methods of how high energy everything is. And then just understanding that, I remember leaving that day and being like, I've got a clear vision now. It's like every other business or every other venture I've done in the past, I've been like, this is cool now, but I don't see the longevity in it. I don't see how it's going to get me to where I want to be. And I remember leaving that crash course on that discovery day and just being like, this is it. Like, I know that this is going to be the thing. I know this is going to work. I know where I'm going to be at each step along the way. It might move a little bit, but that pathway is kind of like, it's like I've got the treasure map now and I've drawn a line exactly where I need to go.
Nice.
It was such an eye-opening moment. And I remember leaving and talking to my mum about it and stuff, and I was like, do not tell Dad how much I've just invested and going into these courses, because my dad wouldn't have been happy about that.
So how much did you invest?
So this one was £2,000 at this point.
But in total, how much of it, because this is the first time your dad will know.
Yeah. So
how much did your dad think you invested? How much have you actually invested?
My dad thinks I've done £4,000.
How much is actually?
£12,000.
12,000. There we
Sorry,
go, Dad. There we go, Dad. 12. Hi, Dad.
Yeah.
Wow. And what do you think your dad will think when he finds out?
I think now when he looks back, like, I love my dad to bits. My mum and dad are the most supportive people. I'm very, very grateful. I'm very lucky for that. They've supported me throughout this whole process, obviously letting me move back in after the breakup and everything as well. So it's been amazing, but I think he'll be pretty shocked. Probably if he's sipping his coffee right now, he might spit it out.
How did you justify? I mean, you sold your business and you basically had nothing, living with your parents, and you invested everything into your education. How did you justify that?
I believe in myself. I think that, like I say, I've done so much in terms of, like my old business used to do like health and wellbeing training, and I used to teach people about the importance of investing in yourself around your mindset and your mental health and your exercise and your body and your health. And I knew that I'm a hypocrite if I don't believe in that myself. So I've always wanted to invest in myself. I've always known that the reach one, teach one kind of mentality of reach up and get help from somebody else, and then reach down and help other people and teach other people, inspire others as well.
That's amazing, bro. And another thing as well, a lot of people say to me, I got like 10 grand, 20 grand. And the realistic thing that they need to do is they need to raise finance.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure you've joint ventured and raised finance for your deals. Yeah. You have to raise finance. You have to joint venture. You have to partner with people. But how can you expect someone to invest in you? Oh, I've got 100 grand for this deal. Can you invest in my deal? If you can't even invest in you, if you won't invest in you because you're like, oh no, I won't invest in me, then how will anybody else?
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's one thing that it's really important to put yourself out there in this sense and like show people what you're really about and talk about things that you really believe in, because you will connect with people, and you need to connect with people personally before you do business, especially on the level where you're talking about raising finance together and you're using someone else's money in a deal. They need to have a real belief and a friendship with you, I believe, before they just go, oh yeah, here's 50 grand. Kind of thing like that.
100%. So what happened then? So you joined the academy, you've now got access to all the mentoring training. What happened?
Yeah, so I went heavy into the deal selling side of things first, and kind of went into building up my investor list, really trying to hit social media hard, which I've had a lot of experience with in the past. And then I partnered with a guy who I actually met at one of the courses called Dan Jones. He's my business partner throughout everything now, and it's amazing the network of people that you meet when you come to your courses, because me and him just clicked. We got on like a house on fire, and now everything that we do, we split 50-50 with our service accommodations, our deal selling stuff as well, and going into our project management and BRR business as well that we're currently looking at building. It's amazing because I've got that background experience of the marketing, the social media, the things like that, and running a business, where he's a tradesman. He fits kitchens for a living, so he's got that plug in the gap there. So I met him through the training, and then been able to utilise the mentoring calls and things like that, because I didn't actually get a deal for the first 3 months, which I didn't actually get a deal when you first start in property. But it's like a lot of other people that joined on the academy at my time are on the masterminds every single week, and you're surrounded by people that are winning and they're constantly getting deals and things like that, and it's amazing. And it just lit this fire in my belly. Like I had to get something, I had to get something over the line. So I got one deal on a Monday morning. I got the keys to one deal, and on the Monday afternoon I got keys to another deal, and then on the Friday of that same week I got the keys to another deal. So it's like all this work over the 3 months are just compounding into me getting 3 rent service accommodations in 1 week.
And how did that happen? How did it suddenly all come together?
The sheer amount of no's, but using no as a step forward to a yes rather than something that's going to pull you back.
So you were ringing up landlords and who you were finding on the internet, Gumtree, and Facebook Marketplace, Open Rent, agents. You're ringing these guys up and you're pitching to basically rent the property and do a rent to rent.
Yeah. Well, so like I'd get leads, I'd get viewings and stuff, and then I'd lose one viewing on the fact that I'd mentioned like Airbnb and they didn't like it. It's like a trigger word. Then I'd mention company let another one, and that were a trigger word that they didn't like, and I'd say something that someone else didn't like, and it's all about like it's split testing. You've got to like learn about what works and what doesn't. So I built up a script in my mind which okay, well that doesn't work, so I'm going to change that a little bit. Okay, well I've got past this bit now, but that bit doesn't work, so I'm going to change this a little bit. And eventually you get to the point of where now everything works, and then all of a sudden everything works. It works on all the deals. So that's 3 properties in a week that kind of all came together. And
I remember as well coming to one of your properties, because we spend quite a lot of time on training, practicing the scripts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what do you say when you call landlords? What if they say this? What do you say? Like, as you say, it's like crafting that, because that's basically sales, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
It's really honing your sales skills in. And I remember coming out and you had the most difficult situation. Well, what happened?
Yeah, this was crazy. So I messaged a guy on Open Rent, and he was open to the idea of it. He called me straight away, and I kind of sold him on the idea to get a viewing. And then I went round to the viewing, and it was crazy because the guy who was the landlord was 93 years old, which is crazy in itself. And then, and he was, like I say, he was open to the concept, but it was like, just in case I pass away at any point, I need to make sure that my granddaughter understands the concept of what's going on as well. So what I want you to do when you come to the viewing is I want you to pitch the idea to her as well.
And her partner.
Yeah, and then her partner.
Who's a prison officer. Yeah. So we go to this viewing, you're there, and he's like, right, go ahead. So you're having to basically present and pitch the concept. And Dan, credit to Dan, to him, her, and they're firing all these questions at you, which we've been training that. And all the questions that they said, like, is it going to be on Airbnb? In fact, let's let the guys listening to the interview hear some of the objections that come up all the time, because I want to make this as valuable as possible, what you should say. So what were you going to say, man? Is it on Airbnb? Are you going to put it on Airbnb?
So we use the property short-term stage, yes, but we try to drive a lot of bookings direct through our direct booking website. But in the times where we do have low periods, then we do use online travel agencies like Airbnb to market our properties and potentially build up future leads with other potential businesses in the future.
Do you have any references or anything? Could you to give me?
Yeah, of course I can pass you across some references from other landlords that we've worked with in the past. But I'm also my business is also a sister business of a business called Samuel Leeds Limited, who's done a lot of mentoring and training with me. So if there is any other issues, I'm sure I can pass you up the details along to them, and they can give you a little bit more information about the business.
When you say company let though, who's going to be living in the property exactly?
Yeah, so basically how it works is that we, rather than it being a normal tenancy agreement, so with a normal tenancy contract, an AST contract, what you actually have is the tenant that you have has a lot of rights. So there's a lot of issues there with if they don't pay the rent and things like that, then you're going to have problems removing them because of the tenant's rights. With a company let, this is like a lease agreement. So if you imagine like the big hotels, like the Premier Inns, the Travel Lodges, what they do is they lease the building that they're in. They don't own that building, but they let it out on a short night-by-night basis. We're basically doing that, but on a much smaller scale. So I am a company that's leasing the property off you. So my company is the tenant, and then what I'll basically do is be using your property on a shorter term basis to actually let it out to contractors, to healthcare professionals, and different people that need short term stays in the area.
Is this legal though? Isn't subletting illegal?
Yeah, so subletting would be illegal if I was a standard tenant, so if it wasn't an AST contract. But like I say, this is a similar contract to what the big hotels and things like that use, so we're allowed to do the short-term stays.
What happens if you don't pay the rent now?
That's the beautiful thing of it, because if I was an AST and a standard tenant, the issue would be that you wouldn't be able to remove me from the property. But it tends to be within the contents of our agreement. If the payment isn't made within 7 days, you can actually remove us and you can put another tenant into there straight away. So it's actually a lot more beneficial for you and yourself as well.
I'm sold, man. I'm sold, man. See, that's the thing. That's the power of knowing how to answer questions. Yeah. And there's a whole bunch. I think there's like probably, 30, 40 different questions I could ask you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to know how to answer the questions.
That is 100% it. And again, it goes back to sales and it goes back to like your story, but that's what took me 3 months to learn. It took me 3 months of getting no's, going to viewings and seeing people like over and over again, saying them key trigger words. Like I personally don't like saying, like you're seeing when I did that then, I'd never say company let. I say my company will be the tenant. I think again, company let is becoming a little bit of a trigger term.
Yeah.
So I think that it's like, again, but that's just come from the testing.
How many properties do you have?
I manage 6 at the minute.
So you got 6 rent to rents?
6 rents to rents, yeah.
How much are you making on the rent to rents?
So 3 of them are ones that so an investor has put the money in, so it's almost a little bit like it's a sourcing, but it's like a joint venture at the same time. So an investor sourced 3 of them. I've project managed the staging and the furnishing and things like that. And then I actually manage the SA side of it now. So my service accommodation business manages 6 service accommodation units. So I've given, from a term of a sourcing point of view, it's a completely hands-off investment.
Okay, help me out. So who found the property?
Me.
Who put the money in?
The investor.
So you're taking some of the profits, the investor's taking some of the profits?
Yeah, so I'm taking a management fee, but it's their property basically.
Okay.
So they paid me a sourcing fee for finding it. It's their property. Then
how much did they pay you for finding it?
£3,000.
So you got £3,000 plus you're making a monthly amount from it as well. What about the other 3?
The other 3 are ones that I've sourced myself.
And whose are they? Yours?
There's mine and my business partner Dan's. Yeah.
And how much did they make?
Each one of them is between 1,000 and 1,500.
And who are staying in your properties? Are you not worried that you're gonna, like for instance, in the winter? You're not worried about dry seasons? I'm
not at all, because I believe in building a brand around it. So even though my business furnished accommodation, which is my SA management company, I don't market it or put it out there as an SA management company. It is the hub for contractor stays around the north of England. So I market that to contractors, to people, to like relocators, to NHF locum staff and things like that.
Yeah.
I market it to them to stay for longer periods around.
So you're not just sticking it on Airbnb, you're genuinely targeting and marketing to people, contractors that are looking for short-term accommodation.
Yeah, I'm creating a brand around it.
How are you making the £1,500 a month per property doing that?
Because when you put it on Airbnb and things like that, exactly like what I was saying before, like we do use them platforms to fill the gaps and to fill the time where we don't get direct bookings. But through that, when we're trying to get direct bookings, then we remove the fees that Airbnb and Booking.com take. So it allows us to then actually maximise on the profits that we're getting.
What was the first property that you took on yourself and where was it?
That was in Liverpool. It was a 2-bedroom duplex apartment.
How much rent you paying?
We paid $1,200 on that.
You're paying $1,200 to the landlord?
Yep.
And then how much turnover is that one property bringing you in?
That's turning over just a little bit more than £3,000 a month at the minute.
Sure.
So after bills and everything, that's profiting around, over the 3 months it's been live, it's been around £1,000, £700 to £1,000.
Damn, bro, that's nice.
It's nice, that one, yeah.
Yeah. So is it hard business? Is it a tough nut to crack?
You've got to have that dedication. This is where the academy and the mentoring and surrounding yourself with the right people really helped me, because the issue is when you get a no and you're not used to getting no's, it's demotivating. Like I was saying before about it took me 5 attempts to get my English GCSE. I'm used to being told no. So it's like a lot of the time when people have said go left, I've gone right. So I had that kind of like drive to move past it, but then it is demotivating when you're calling 10 agents or 10 landlords a day and you get no. It's like,
why do people say no? Do they not understand the concept? It's a brilliant service. Rent to rent, assuming it's done properly by a company that's got references, that can afford to do it, that's got the right training. It's a brilliant service. I mean, my properties, a lot of my houses, I've passed on to people on rent-to-rents.
Yeah.
Because it's passive,
Yeah.
hassle-free.
Yeah.
And you're normally offering the rent that they want.
I know.
Oh, you want £1,000 a month for that apartment? I'll give you £1,000 a month, and I'll give it you on a company let, which means that I've got no rights. If I don't pay, you can take my house away.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be making sure that it's cleaned to the point whereby there won't even be hair in the bed. What the heck is wrong with people saying, no, don't do company lets?
I don't know. It must just purely be the fact that they don't understand.
I think it's all the bum buckets that are trying to do rent to rent are doing it wrong.
Yeah, the cowboys.
They won't invest £1 into their education. Oh no, Manchester's too far. I live in Leeds. I don't want to spend £1 on the course, but I'll ring up landlords and just mess up everything, and then, or they'll take on a contract and not be able to pay the rent. They don't know how to list it on Booking.com.
Yeah.
Or they don't know how to systemize it, because you've got to have procedures and cleaners and key safe boxes and things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a business.
Yeah, that's it. I had someone message me on Instagram about it the other day saying, I really want to get into rent to rent. And I was like, oh, have you done any trade? They wanted to be a bespoke investor with my sourcing business.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you done any training on it? And they said, oh, no. I was like, oh, well, where are you based? I'm sure that there's some trainings coming up. And I brought up your website and given them the link. Like, oh, the closest one's it's in Leeds and it's next month. Come to this one because it'll teach you all the basics about it. And they went, oh no, it's too far for me. I was like, I don't want you as one of my investors, thanks.
Exactly. Because they'll fail.
Yeah.
And you want to be working with winners. How many academy members have you been doing business with?
Oh, just sold my 9th deal at the minute. So, and about 7 of them have been to academy members and working through the academy.
That in itself pays its money back.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's 2 academy members that I'm having conversations with. One of them, actually, I had a meeting with, and he literally went, I don't want you to pitch an idea with me. I've got 50 grand. I will give you 50 grand as a joint venture if you pitch the right idea to me. Yeah. It's like, it's the beauty of, you're building up a reputation, you're building up relationships with people and trust. And when you're a part of this network, there's almost an extra level of trust there as well. When you're in the academy, people have faith in you about doing business with you.
Because if you mess up, you're under an umbrella of authority and covering whereby we'll investigate and put things right.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than just, here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What is it that drives you then every day?
This is, again, going back to my past. I mentioned that about like my mum and dad and their beliefs with money and things like that. So my dad when I was growing up, my dad had a lot of issues with his mental health. He was quite depressed and things like that. And I was too young to really understand it at the time. But when I look back, I can see that it was due to his financial illiteracy. Like, he didn't understand money, he didn't understand credit, he didn't understand how to utilize it the best way. So debt was bad. Everything to do with debt was bad, and it drove him to be in a bit of a dark place where it was never physical, but it was very high emotions and quite loud and shouting and screaming at me and my mum, my brother, and things like that, because he wasn't in the best place mentally. And seeing that growing up and what that caused him, and the fact that he's still on antidepressants till today because of it, because of money, because of finances, because of bad credit, because he didn't understand the way that the system works. He could have literally moved all of his debt onto a 0% credit card and been absolutely fine. But instead he was scraping each month to pay the interest on the debt he had. And I just seeing that, it's really difficult to think that there's people in this world that still don't have that financial literacy, don't understand money, don't understand the way that the systems work, don't understand how they can potentially be in a better place financially just by managing things
it's true,
better.
Man. I mean, they say, money doesn't make you happy, but I tell you what also doesn't, being poor.
Yeah.
Being poor certainly makes you miserable, because if you haven't got enough money, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're scraping and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I want to change that just for myself, for my family, and for people, for other people as well. So what's driving me has been able to, my higher purpose. I want to help and inspire other people to become financially literate, whether that's through property, whether it's just through better knowledge around money and things like that. I really want to just spread that message, and whether that's using social media platforms or speaking events and things like that, I just want to be able to.
Well, that's
help
the thing,
people
man.
more and more.
When you reach the top of the mountain, it's best to pull people up with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it can be lonely at the top. And that's one of the reasons why I started the academy in the first place. And it's been great getting acquainted with people like yourself and many, 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 many other people.
Yeah.
So what would be your best piece of advice then to someone watching this that wants to follow in your footsteps, that wants to get into property? They've got no money. They want to be doing joint ventures and rent-to-rents and deal sourcing, but they're starting with no money. What would be your best advice?
First of all, get your training. 100% get the training. But the second bit of advice would be, you've got so many experiences in your life up until this point. You've done so many things in the past. Like for myself, I used to be a musician. I played on stage, so that gave me stage presence and like confidence of actually speaking to people and things like that. And then I also, like I say, ran a business. I did social media. I've run a YouTube channel. I've utilised my skills in marketing to now pull that into property. So you've got so many experiences in your life, whether you've been in sales, whether you've worked in a call centre, whatever you've done, you'll have skills that you can use within your property journey that you need to utilise. So people think that they're going into it completely blank with nothing. It's like, no, you've got a lot of skills in your life that you've had previously, and you can pull them in and like you just put them all into the pot. And then when you're mixing it together, you just drop property into there as well and mix it around a little bit more.
So true. A lot of people work hard and have skills, but I think if you're going to work hard anyway, you might as well get rich.
Yeah, exactly.
You might as well use your skills. Like people that do sales, for instance. I see people, who are selling insurance, or they're on the markets and they're selling fruit. And I think, man, they've got so much energy and they're great at what they do. But instead of selling fruit, if they could just sell properties, they'd be a millionaire. Yeah. Is it true? I heard that you were very skeptical about hearing of other people's success. I make 20 grand, 25 grand, all the winners Wednesdays. Now you're one of those guys. Talk to me about that.
I think obviously when you get to a certain point, this is a bit of a stigma really, of that obviously there's levels to this game, and there is people that make like serious money each month. But when I was sat there in the end of June on that crash course, and then you go to the guys at the back that are all helping out and crewing and stuff and asking them how much money they're making.
Volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do that now and I'm that person, so it's like, but it's weird being on the other side of this.
But go on.
But it's like, so there's the guys at the back who are saying that they're making like 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand a month, which is like, was just obscene to me at that point. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't get how that's working. I don't understand how that's happening. It's not that I want to believe it, but I don't believe it kind of thing. And like, I have faith in myself that if that is possible, I'm going to get myself there. But I just didn't really believe it. And I think that I don't know, I think it's a position of like putting myself back into that seat and back into that place, and like going to the crash courses now and seeing these people sat there. It's like, I want to really make it clear that when I say I'm making around £15,000 a month now, I didn't believe that 8 months ago when I first sat there at that first crash course. Before I'd done any training, I didn't believe that was possible. People that are thinking about going to these courses or going to the crash courses and things like that, it's like, just really, I was you 8 months ago. And I honestly believe that if you put your mind to it, you discipline your disappointments with a nose, and you thrive in your wins and you share your wins and things like that, and you live off that kind of vibe and that high energy, that you really can achieve these kind of things. You've got the blueprint. Like with the training, if you come to the trainings, you've got the blueprint. Like I said, you've got that treasure map with the line to the X where the marks the spot. You just need to be able to actually follow it.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you and the team and the guys enough for it, really, because taking me from that mindset where I knew it was possible, but I just couldn't believe it. There was still that kind of, probably my dad sitting in the back of my mind kind of thing around the finances and things like that, and money and living paycheck to paycheck. And then you hear people that are making that much money. It was hard to just get that switch and that click, but you can do it.
How does it feel to be on the other side? And now probably have people watching this YouTube video thinking, 15 grand a month? Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, that's it. That's what, that's the point of what I'm trying to make, is that it's crazy to be on the other side, but I really want people to really understand that I was in that place not that long ago.
No, I get it, man.
And I say I want to be relatable. I want to, whenever I make content or wherever I do things, I want to be relatable. I want to be approachable. I want people to feel like they can message me, and that there's not like a are different in levels. Like everybody's human, everyone's on the same level. I want everyone to...
Suddenly your family members feel awkward around you.
Yeah.
You know, you're on the outside now. If they want to speak to you, they've got to book an appointment with your PA now.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I had a friend that I used to work with who I was explaining what I do in property and how like the things I'm working and stuff and how I'm creating housing for these people in these kind of ways. And he went, "So you're just a capitalist prick now then, aren't you?" I felt bad that I didn't want to be detaching myself from anybody. And then I almost I laughed at him at the same time, but I was like, that is so far away from the truth of what it actually is. But people are going to have their opinions and you're never going to get through to everybody, but I just want to be able to be as relatable and as down to earth as I can with every person that I talk to, and every person that I meet. And I want to just inspire people and show them that, look, like I was here, this was me. This time last year, I was going through something really shit in my life. I'm going through crippling anxiety. I didn't really know what I was doing. Came to one of your trainings, it gave me a little bit of a vision and a little bit of a purpose. Invested in myself for the longer term training. Sold my old business to really pursue this new vision that I had. And it just went from there really, but it is possible, and I can't reiterate that enough, that for the people watching, that it is so possible just to like get out of your own way, invest in yourself and do it.
Well, mate, massively inspirational, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come out today and share your story, and I can't wait to continue working with you to absolutely go from strength to strength and smash it out of the park. Respect, my brother.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much.